Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Mortgages by Gretchen show, where I talk to real people in the field of real estate and business who are not only experts, but they are generous and willing to share their knowledge and wisdom with us here today. And the goal of the show is for you to gain some information and tips to help you reach your goals in owning real estate and to take some of the guesswork out of what to do or who to call to guide you in the process. Also, to help those who are entrepreneurs who want some guidance. Today, I have Stella Kikoyo. Stella, did I pronounce your name properly?
Perfect.
Awesome. Stella's with me, and she has a track record of over 20 years in marketing and business management, both as an educator and a businesswoman. Stella Olivia Kikoyo helps organizations, teams, and individuals enhance their personal and professional performance through coaching, training, and consultations. She is the founder and editor-in-chief of Stellar Woman magazine, which is a global digital publication that women turn to for inspiring success stories, personal and business growth strategies, and actionable career tips and more, all sourced from incredible women from across the globe. And she is host of the Stellar Woman Show, which is a podcast and radio show. Founder and team leader of the IWAW Club, Inspiring Women for Aspiring Women, a safe space for women to aspire to grow to meet other inspiring women. And she's a chartered marketer, a fellow of HEUK, a strategic intervention life and business coach, a trainer, a CIM facilitator, a leadership youth mentor, and a senior lecturer at London Metropolitan University. And very impressive. Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So Stella and I actually met on Instagram. I don't know how we initially connected, but I know I've followed her and loved what she's posting. She's so inspiring, so positive. She has this beautiful smile that is just always there. I just felt very, I liked her. I wanted to connect with her. I wanted to learn from her early on. And I've been very grateful that she has connected with me as well. So Stella, would you like to add anything to that introduction?
Not really, apart from the fact that I'm a mother and also a wife, and of course other things, being a sister and a daughter and a friend. But definitely the introduction was spot on, and we met. I also can't remember exactly how we started to connect, but I did actually start to be interested in what you're doing. And then we had conversations that were sometimes on the sides, not exactly on the actual Instagram feed. It just kept going like that. So it has been good to actually finally start more conversations that can show the face and have the voice added to that.
Yeah, it's been great.
So
and Stella,
thank you for having me here on the show.
You're so welcome. Stella does live and work in, I don't know if it's right in London or where do you, yeah. So she's she's 5 hours ahead of us, and this is so exciting. My first international guest, and it's so exciting for me. So
oh, that's great. Great that I'm the first one.
I know. So Stella, how did you get involved with the magazine, the Stellar Woman magazine? What you're the founder and editor, so how did that come to be?
Thank you. Definitely the magazine started, was initiated by something else. It was to do with an event I started to run for women to have a space for meeting, and that's the Inspiring Women for Aspiring Women. But that started more from my own perspective. It started from the realization that there was a space I was fixing myself. I was putting myself in a box every single day, telling the same story. I can't do this. I don't have time for this. And I don't know where it popped up in my head, but something started to question what I was telling myself. And I started to say, is that true? Is that true? The more I said that to myself, the more I started to ask it outward to other people who kept telling stories. Oh no, I don't have time. I have children. I want to go for singing, but I can't sing because of this. And I started to ask those questions. So the more I asked those questions, the more I started to ask, are there other women doing things differently? Are there other women in our positions actually taking certain moves? And when I started to ask that question, I went out to investigate. And I knew that, yes, there are other women doing other things. We are here enclosing ourselves within our thoughts, within our own stories. And I started to create a space where I enabled women to exchange knowledge and then bring in experts to talk about their own stories, but also their expertise in whatever they're experts in, whether it's money or mind, whatever it is. And the more I dwelt into that, the more I realized that, what about those who are not in this meeting? What happens to them? I felt like I needed that knowledge that I captured to go out to spread more. And hence the reason I went into the magazine, because then I thought that's a platform anyone in the world can tap into. People don't have to be in this meeting. So that's how the magazine came about. And it's so much about spreading those stories, but also expert knowledge so that we can change our own perspectives and see possibilities in any aspect of life and see ourselves thrive. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And so powerful and a great gift to people that you're doing this.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing your own story and your expert knowledge with us.
Yes, I had the thrill of being interviewed by Stella, and she asked amazing questions, things I hadn't even pondered, and I found myself finding out things about myself I didn't even know. So really great. So you interview many types of women, very dynamic women. Are there any stories or pieces of advice that stand out or that you have changed your life that you would share with us?
Oh, definitely. Thank you for that question. And yes, indeed. One particular woman, she's called Tara Garrity. I think she's based in the US. She had a situation, and this is about gratitude. And she had a situation of her 3-year-old having level 4 type cancer. And she found out at that point and realized that there was something she could introduce at this point in time for her daughter. She decided to introduce fun and also gratitude. So they were grateful for every moment by moment. And since then, she developed a gratitude journal, but you can challenge her on anything, any circumstance, and she'll find you what to be grateful for. I did challenge her on Instagram Live, and she blew my mind. So that is a story that I cannot forget. Her daughter is now about 17 years old. So
that is amazing. What, share her name again? Because I'm going to check that out.
Garrity. I think she must have been in issue 4. I'm not so sure. Yes, it was about goal setting. It was in January of 2022. Yes.
Okay. That's extremely powerful.
Yeah, that's a story that I've never forgotten. And she left a very powerful challenge. But also there's a story, this is not mainly the story, it's the aspect that she introduces. This is Sharon Lecter. I interviewed Sharon Lecter in issue 2 when I just started the magazine. And this is a woman who is an author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, a financial advisor of the US government, and how she accepted, I just felt that this was an amazing woman, a total stellar woman. For her to give me the time and answer every question, you know my questions, every question to the detail. She gave me all the time, and I was blown away by her humbleness and her willingness to give and give and give. But also she asked herself a question that I thought is very powerful. When she wanted to go into entrepreneurship, leaving accounting to go into entrepreneurship wasn't an easy thing for her. But then she got a question that she needed to answer. Why not? Why not? And I thought, wow. And recently I interviewed a woman who also said she asked herself, why not? And that's how she went into entrepreneurship. at 25?
That's
So
a
I think
good
that's a
question.
powerful question for anyone going into entrepreneurship, changing career, anything that you want to change in your life. Ask yourself, why not?
Yeah. And I think why not could you make you realize maybe there is a good reason not to, but
Yeah.
usually it's the other way. You're just afraid. Maybe.
Yes, yes. Most
Right.
likely you can't really put down why not, really, most likely. And if you can't, that means go ahead. Really,
Yeah.
go ahead. Yeah, do
That's
it.
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, in the financial and real estate industry, which is what I'm involved in, doing personal development is a very big part of succeeding and enjoying the investing. Do you have any tools you've learned or tips to help create a joyful life as opposed to feeling, the struggle because it can be uh, difficult at times in entrepreneurship?
Oh yes, that's a good question. Yes, I do have a tool that I use, and the tools, maybe the fundamental tool behind it's mindfulness. And I did teach mindfulness. I'm not going to go into the history of how I got into it, but I found it that it's the only way I come back to myself. So it's a tool that allows me to come back to myself, to reinforce myself. It allows me to know myself. It allows me to discover myself and to ask all these questions. It's fast discovering where you are in terms of your thoughts, your feelings, because many times our thoughts, we identify with our thoughts, and yet our thoughts are not us. We're different from our thoughts, and yet from our thoughts we get those feelings that are going to make us feel anxious or stressful or whatever it is that we are going to go into. And from feelings we get behavior. We are going to respond. We're going to form an attitude and respond. And from whatever we respond, we get a result. So until we are mindful of those thoughts that we are having, we cannot make these changes, especially meaningful changes in our lives. So I find that is a core tool that has really changed my life, and I'm on a mission to spread it to every human being that can pay attention to it.
And how do you use that? I've heard different tips. Like you personally, give an example of how you would use mindfulness.
Okay. In fact, yesterday I had
steps of, something would happen. You would do this to be mindful to then have a result.
Okay, so say for example, inspiring thoughts. Most of the thoughts, the mind is fabricating them. They're not real. Say for example, I get to know that I haven't received an email from a person, a colleague, or anyone else who's supposed to respond. Then I start to create why they haven't responded. Most likely they're not thinking. Most likely they put my email in the banner. They don't care about me, and I'm creating all of this. It's not true. It's not a reality. Then I start to feel. So the best way is normally to catch the feelings, because the thoughts are just too many going on, over 60,000 a day. So it's hard to catch them. But the feelings, your body will start to change. Your breathing will change. Your heartbeat will change, depending on what you're telling yourself. And so it's at that point that I'm able to say, oh, this is going on, because I'm practicing mindfulness. So now I become more aware. So the tuning is so quick. It's quicker that this is going on. And I have now to calm myself down.
Okay.
And I have
so you're like pausing,
with the breathing.
observing your thoughts.
Yes, but I start with my feelings. So it's the feelings. You don't like the state of your body.
Okay.
Yes, so your feelings are your alert. I call them almost like your thermometer or traffic lights. Like, this is red, this is yellow, this is going on, stop. So at that point, I have to stop and bring myself to balance. And I use the breathing technique to bring myself to balance. And then I track where all of this is coming from, and realize that it's a thought. Is it actually true? Most likely it's not true. I'm making it up, but it's hard for us to tell ourselves that we are making it up. So it's a journey of personal development to know that you're fabricating whatever you're saying. Yeah, it's not reality. You're perceiving something.
That's Very useful. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're welcome.
So also learning to face failure and move forward is a big part of learning in any field or any area. Can you share an experience that felt like a failure or you were disappointed, and how did you move forward, and what did you learn?
I don't know, how far do you want this? Do you want it to be childhood? Do you want it to be recent?
Whatever's coming to you is fine.
Whatever is coming to me. Okay. I think I shared an experience of failure. First of all, doing personal development, I got to learn that failure is just communication. It's feedback for you. It's nothing. It's to do with lessons. And now for me, I take it like an experiment of life. I'm just experiencing life. I'm just getting to the experiment. And what am I learning? And what do I have to do beyond that? But before that, I used to really have defining moments of saying this is a failure. And I will use my maths, which I also put into the magazine, doing maths test. And this is more at university. It's a story I love to tell very much. I used to fail maths, and the reason I was failing maths was that I used to think I cannot do maths, and I put myself in a box, and that meant that I wasn't taking any action that would change what I was doing. Yeah, so I was always there in the failure box, failing box. Okay, what I call failure, that is where you need to repeat the exam. That means you failed anyway. That's a defining moment by the university. Given that I'm a lecturer, I keep failing students. So the moment you have to repeat, that means you failed. So, and I didn't want repeating exams. That was a good thing for me. I didn't want to repeat. And I was always told that when you repeat, the exam is harder. And that was a good message that my head captured. And I realized that I had to do something different. I had to change because I didn't want to do a harder maths exam. So because I didn't want to do a harder maths exam, I had to now change. And one thing that I did, I got a friend that I wasn't utilizing. She was even a very close friend of mine, but I didn't care that she was a good mathematician. I just left myself in the failing box. But this time I came to the realization I need her. So I started to sit next to her every time she was revising maths so that I could ask her questions. The good thing with this girl, I don't know how she managed to get to this zone. She never ever helped me. She used to just tell me, can you keep trying? I don't know how she got this tool. And I would plead with her, but she would never do any equation for me. She would just say, can you do another step and try another? I'd be frustrated because I know she can do it in a minute, but she never gave me that. She just kept telling me to keep trying. And the moment I would discover that I would do it, I would scream loud. I would scream loud. I would scream loud. She would say, you see, you can do it. Do you see?
Wow.
You can do it.
She was
And
very wise.
she was quite wise for her age, and this is reflecting way after university. And I don't have any connection with her. I want to meet her to tell her this is something that now I reflect upon, and I know that everything is possible within us. We just have to discover that is possible. Maybe sometimes it's mentors or coaches or other people to actually just help us to discover what is already possible within ourselves.
Yeah, that is great. And I bet if you did connect with her, she'd be thrilled.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so more on the real estate side, since a lot of the audience is kind of in that world, what advice would you give to women wanting to buy a home for themselves or as an investment, or start a business? So getting into something new, um, what's a good way to start something new?
I think based on life experience, this is a good question, and it's very reflective. I think thinking big, when people tell us to think big, we get nervous by it. But actually having a vision that is big, your ideal, is really important. So start from your ideal. Many times we want to do something small, something easy, but start with your idea, because sometimes that something small needs to be broken down to create something bigger after you've gone through the experience. So what if it's better for you to step and create that actual vision, whether it's on a vision board, just create that actual ideal. If you had $1 million of pounds in your account, what is that? What would it look like? So if you have that ideal and then you go backwards and start from somewhere towards that, because along the way, life has taught me that if you are resourceful enough, there'll be people who will look into you, who will breathe air into you, who will do certain things, and you will start the first step, the second step, and the next thing, the thing that you thought you could never achieve, that big vision, you're somewhere next to it, or you're actually already achieving it. And then you look back and say, thank God, I actually created something big.
And you'll be so proud of yourself that you did that. And that's really extremely helpful advice.
I think
it's something that, like you say, kind of maybe would feel like scary, but like you say, you can break it down into smaller steps. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and I think if it's a house that you want, I don't know when it's an investment, what to do, but even if it's your ideal home, I think about what you really want as a home. And then, yes, you be resourceful. There'll be people who will give you like stamp duty, because I don't know if that's also part of what you have in the Canadian market. We have stamp duty here is one thing that stops you from actually going to a bigger property. But if you're resourceful, you can get friends, family members to help you with stamp duty, but go to your ideal home or whatever it is. Think big and see that, look for see those who can help you to achieve that possible dream.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Because I do find too, when people come to me for a mortgage, for example, sometimes they're almost assuming it's not going to work, but well, at least have the conversation. And then by the end, they realize, yeah, there could be lots of ways to get into in the Canadian market, to get into real estate.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so what would be your last piece of advice? Well, usually I say for Canadians because I'm in Canada, but people right now, what would you advise, or any piece of wisdom, last piece of wisdom?
I think today there's a lot of messages or communication that just ignites a lot of fear and worry, anxiety into people. And for those who are aware, generally where focus goes, energy flows. So don't put your focus on those things, that communication that brings about fear or anxiety into your life. So pivot and put your attention and focus on possibilities, because everything that is positive is actually possible. So just put your attention elsewhere and divert it away from anything that brings you fear, anxiety, or worries at all.
Wow. You've said so much. I'm definitely going to have to re-listen to this many times and absorb it, because very wise woman and person. And thank you so much for being here today. How can people connect with you?
Oh, thank you. Definitely, people can connect with me on Instagram. That is, I have Stella Kikoyo Inspiring Women. But you can also connect with me on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, I have two that's through Stella Woman Magazine, but also Stella Olivia Namakula Kikoyo. That's my maiden name, and my surname, which is Kikoyo. And I'm also on Facebook as Stella Kikoyo, just limited to Stella Kikoyo, and on YouTube. And definitely come and if you're a woman or even a man, we want to know, especially if you facilitate anything in a women's avenue, please connect with us on the Stella Woman Magazine and the Stella Woman Show, which is a podcast now, aired on Apple Podcast, on Spotify, SoundCloud, and 360 Talk Radio for Women. So I'm on all those different channels.
Excellent. And email, or do you not? Should we?
Oh, yes, I do have an email. There's Stella at Stella Woman Mag. That is mag.com.
Okay.
And also stella.kikoyo@gmail.com.
Okay, lots of ways to find you. That's amazing. And thank you so much for today. And it's been really fantastic. Like I said, there's so much in that can benefit so many people. So thanks so much.
And thank you for giving me this time and space to connect with your own audience. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye. Have a good day. Yeah, bye.
You too.